All right, here we are. Welcome to Serverless Office Hours. Tarun, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am good. I'm excited to be here. I'm super excited about what we're talking about today. We're going to get that to a little bit, but I'm glad you're here. Just so people know who we are and what's going on here. This is Serverless Office Hours. It happens every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Mountain time, and that's all the conversions I can do. I'm not any good past that. So, and let me tell you who I am. My name is Eric Johnson. I'm a principal developer advocate with AWS for Serverless. You can find me at EDJ Geek on Twitter. I encourage you to reach out to me if you have questions. I don't claim to know all the answers, but I a lot of times know the people who do. And Tarun would be one of them. I would hit him and say, hey, how does this work? Tarun, tell us who you are.
I'm a software development engineer in AWS SAE team. We are working on improving the developer experience for serverless applications. Yeah, that's a quick intro about me.
Great. Sorry, I had to cough there. I apologize. Great. And I'm excited to have you with me. We just released a very exciting feature last week. And again, we're going to jump into that in just a minute. But for the moment, we're going to talk through some of the things that are going on in serverless. Last week, if you weren't here, Julian Wood was joined by Adam Wagner and Mandakini Sarup. And Mandakini, if I get your name wrong, please forgive me. I work on names, and I hope that Tarun, I got yours right, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yes, all right. So Julian, I hope I got yours right. Adam, I hope you got yours right. So there you are. But yes, so they were here last week, and they were doing AWS Lambda with AWS MSK. And so great talk about streaming, a different way of streaming. You have Kinesis, we have MSK, different things like that. We have some things coming up in serverless, a lot of new things coming up. One is the simplified CICD configurations for serverless applications and your favorite CICD system. This is in public preview, and that's what we're talking about today. So very thrilled. Hey, we got a first time here. I'm going to Fauna Inc. Fauna Inc. I know who that is. We had a raid. Rob, thanks for bringing your team over. I'm glad to see y'all. Rob Sutter from Fauna brought his team in as a raid. So excited to see y'all here. We also had some changes to Amazon Kinedo, step functions. If you want to know more about what's going on in serverless, follow our What's New feed. You can hit us at s12d.com/what's new. Hey, y'all. Hey, Rob. Good to see you. Rob, this is Tarun. Tarun, this is Rob. Rob used to do these streams with me sometimes. I don't know if you can see the chat, but it's coming in there. So we also have serverless blocks. Man, if you don't know about our team and others, we write blogs prolifically. I say we, that's really Julian and Ben and James and Chris and Talia. I am not the prolific blog writer, but I try my best. But there's some great series coming out that we'll talk about in just a second. So if you want to see what's going on blog-wise, s12d.com/serverless blogs. When we write blogs, we always try to write blogs that help. So you walk away with some kind of tutorial, something that's working to help you learn about how to use it. So I encourage you to check that out. One of those series that we're doing, James Bezic is writing s12d.com Alleycat. This talks about all service applications with streaming data. We deal with event-driven data. Sometimes folks struggle with streaming data, so James talks through a lot of the different ways that you can do streaming. Under this series we have, if you're brand new to serverless, I really encourage you to check this out. s12d.com, getting started. Ben Smith is writing this series on, it's literally like, what IDE do I use? Where do I get started? So he's written this series to kind of help you get started with that. And then building well-architected serverless applications. Another part of this just came out today. So this is very exciting. And Julian Wood is writing this series. And I asked the question, are you building serverless, but are you building well-architected serverless? And like any other architectures that we do, there are best practices. And Julian talks through this. So, yeah. All right. So the next one we've got here is the Serverless Patterns Collection. And this is kind of apropos. I don't even know if I use that at the right time. But this is apropos because next week we're going to be covering the Serverless Patterns Collection. Talia Nassi, our newest developer advocate, she's going to be joining us to talk through this, her and Julian. In fact, I'm going to be talking through the serverless patterns. If you've not seen the serverless patterns, I really encourage you to check them out. These are patterns you can grab to start building your applications with. They're building blocks, Legos, Sheen Brazil. I hope that's okay that I said that, but they are Legos for serverless. There you go. You can use those to throw those together. All right. So we have some first times again. I want to say Fauna Inc., thanks for coming. Decab, IB. I'm probably just destroying these names here. Serverless Masters. Turin, they call us Serverless Masters. What do you think?
No, we are not. Not anywhere close.
Something to learn at AWS is we all suffer from what is imposter syndrome. We work with really smart people, and when you step into the room, it's like, well, I think in other places, like, oh yeah, I know everything, and then you step in the room, it's like, whoa, I don't know everything. And so, like I said, I don't claim to know everything, but I do know folks who know things. So, glad to help anytime I can. Daniel Abib, AWS. Okay. All right. Well, welcome, Daniel. I appreciate they're here. Yes, and we talked earlier this week, so I'm glad you're here. All right. So the purpose we're here today is, Tarun, the new feature. I'm going to let you say it. Throw it out there. What do we have? What's the new feature we brought up?
So recently launched, it's a simple command, like a SAM pipeline command. Under this command, we are trying to help others to set up their CICD infrastructure. We talked to a lot of customers, and most customers suggested that it's difficult to get the AWS resources right when trying to set up the CI/CD. They are mostly able to set up, but they are not sure that whether it's the ideal way or not. So what we did is we looked into how we do it internally. We launched some standard templates and some commands which will help users go through that template. And at the end, you will have like a pipeline in one of the major CI/CD platforms. We might have missed some. Please create a feature request. We'll look into how we can expand.
And this is something we're building out on, exactly. So I'm going to take us a step back, Tarun, just for a second. If you're not familiar, we've been throwing around this word CI/CD, right? CI/CD, what does it mean? So Tarun, go ahead.
So basically, continuous integration and continuous delivery. It's mostly like when you push a code, it's from very basic point of view, when you push a code and how that code goes from your repository into all the CloudFormation stacks in our cases where customers can use your application. So continuous integration basically is when you connect your repository to a platform which will listen for your code and perform actions based on that. And CD is basically the action of deployment, which will then go through your pipeline. Yeah. Pipeline is one of the most overloaded or common terms, which is like common across AWS, Jenkins, and most of the other CD platforms as well. So that's like a gist of it. We can
Yeah. So and the thing I would add to that is it is automated deployment. Delivery and deployment, right? And so and a lot of times this is a passion of mine. CICD is a passion of mine. I've talked about it at a lot of different conferences. It's really funny when in my previous job I was a solutions architect. I would go into companies, I'd help them, talk about not just serverless but getting to the cloud or just getting a good architecture. And I would ask them, what does your deployment process look like? Oh, we're automated. We're fully automated CICD. Oh, that's great. What does it look like? Well, Bob commits on his television or on his television, how you doing? His computer. And then Susie takes that code and copies it over here. And then Fred, it is like, whoa. If your CI/CD pipeline includes somebody's name, it's not automated. So I really, really encourage you to look at automation. And this is a great way to do it with serverless applications. The ability to automate these so that when I commit, the code goes out and it could just go to, I think we're going to show in here, Tarun, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can have like staging and then you have production. You have different points of deployment. So I want to say hi to learning_T. Hi, Tarun and Eric. They said hi to us. And we have a question with Code Sean. Did Lambda and Edge get replaced with CloudFront functions, or are they the same thing? They are not the same thing. They are a little different in how they work, and I'm glad to expand on that a little bit later. Or we might have to do a show on that, I think. So let's. So with this, Tarun, I'm going to turn it over to you to do a demo, and I'm going to bring up your screen.
Okay. So this is what I'm going to attempt to demo today. It's a live demo, so please bear with me.
Live demos are the best demos.
So what I'm trying to demo is like, how can I use the pipeline or SAM pipeline command to set up a pipeline? In this case, we'll use GitLab with a build stage and a test stage in one account, and then a prod stage in a different account in a different region. And this is what comes built in with the command. Like, we help you set up the first two stages, and then I'll show you how you can use the command further to expand the pipeline to add an extra stage. Just to keep things simple, I'm going to use the same account, which I will use for production one.
Okay.
But it will require bootstrapping the resources and modifying the config a bit. So we'll see when we'll get there. I have set up two accounts. So this is the account for the test, and this will be the account for the prod, and then in GitLab. And I have created a EC2 instance just so that I know what I need to set up, and I don't like use my already set up laptop. So in here, I have already done a couple of things in which I've installed AWS CLI, SAM CLI, configured the credential for my both accounts. And please careful, these are like the admin credentials which you need to bootstrap the account. The CICD will not work with admin. They will have their own limited resources, limited roles and permissions. But to set it up, we need admin permission. And
Right.
then I've installed Node because I'm going to use a Node application, and then Git, obviously. So now if I start with, I'll simply start with setting up a SAM package. So I'll just breeze through all of this. I'll call it office hours demo app. And then I'll just choose a hello world template. So in this app, we simply, the template is nothing. It will just return like.
Hold on. Are you using Vim?
Yes.
I love it. I love it. That is, oh man. Yeah, okay, there's the master right there. Vim right here in live code. All right.
This Vim is very basic, so I will struggle here every now and then, but
I think you're brave. I would have right quit and deleted probably my whole operating system. So yeah.
This is a basic hello world template which comes with SAM in it, and all it does is it will return a hello world message.
Okay.
And then the template which I can show is basically just one function with the path of hello. This actually don't matter for the CI/CD demo. It's just I'm using a SAM application because we are going to do a SAM build and deploy in the CI/CD platform. Now let's configure this in GitLab first. So I'll create a blank project. I called it OH demo app. So I'll just try to be consistent. Then demo application, make this public. Good project. Okay. So I have also configured the SSH credential. So I think it will work. Okay. And what branch I'm on? Oh, it didn't use that name. Okay, anyway. Git clone. Git, all
right. And when you get a breaking point, we've got a couple questions coming in, but we'll take a breaking point in a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
I swear this is a video. Your accuracy in typing is impressive. Could be all the fingers you have, but yeah, it's I am the fat finger king.
So I think I did do a git in it. So okay. Oh, I didn't comment. That's why. Okay, and let's see. And I do not have the access. I thought I did configure the SSH credential, but apparently I didn't.
Uh-oh. Well, that's good to see this. So what? So when you say you don't have access, so you're configuring access to which?
To the GitLab repo.
Okay. Alrighty.
I set it public, but I still need the permission to push the credential. I did configure though. So let's see. I did configure it.
There's a warning that said you won't be able to push until you set a password. I think yeah. And another warning. Sorry, you cleared it out before I could read it, but
oh, where's the warning?
There was another warning before that, but
okay, let me do one thing. So GitLab tells us what commands to use. So I'm just going to do that.
There it is. You won't be able to push repositories via HPS until there was a warning.
Okay. So much for consistency.
Not a problem, man.
So this is fine. Git remote I did. Git add I did. Let's see.
Do you have it set to 2 though?
No, I need. I think I just need to load the key. So there is a command for that as well.
All right.
I think I just need to do this. Oh, that's why.
There's no remote.
There's no remote.
Git add remote. Yay.
Hey, it works. Okay.
Hey there. Good job.
So we have the repository all set up.
Live code, people. Live demo. That's how we roll.
So now basically, like, the repository is ready. Now we'll start out with our SAM pipeline command. So just to show, I have already set up the profile. I'm not going to show the credentials here, but just the name. And of course, I made the mistake. Yeah, it's configured. So I've set up 2 accounts. One is demo 1, one is demo 2. And then demo 1 defaults to US West 2, demo 2 defaults to US East 1.
Okay. Say that last part again. They default to what?
They default to those regions. So
okay.
Yeah, right. Like when I have configured them, I gave them the region. If you look at this as well, the test one will be in US West 2. And then the prod account, prod 1 will be in US East 1, prod 2 will try to set up in AP South 1.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there real quick. A couple questions real quick. First is, are we going to cover code deploy and code pipeline today? I don't think so, right? These are not.
No, I don't think we'll have enough time.
Yep.
But the steps are more or less the same. Like you set up, you run the command, and the command guides you through it. So the questions might be slightly different based on the platform, but the flow is essentially the same.
Yep. So the other question we had, Tarun, was and it's on the screen here, can we use SAM pipelines to deploy to a temporary environment, like to a feature branch environment, and tear it down after testing?
You can. You can also set up a separate pipeline for just your dev. So there are 2 things here. SAM templates do have a feature branch support in it, as in like it will create a separate path in your pipeline and deploy to the test stack. But what's the catch here is it will keep deploying to the devs or the test stack as well. So if multiple people have set up their own pipeline for that stack, there might be some collision. The easiest is use feature branch definitely if you are just testing across your development. But in case if it's a team of multiple people, I would just recommend everybody to set up their own pipeline in their own dev account. We will show how you can set up and bootstrap the resources in your dev account as well.
Gotcha.
And then go from there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
So in order to basically set up the pipeline, first we need to bootstrap a couple of resources. And the command is just same for both. So we will do pipeline init, and we'll do it with bootstrap flag. So what bootstrap flag do is it will try to detect if you have bootstrapped any of the pipeline stages or resources for any of the stages. And then if it will detect none, then it will help you to bootstrap and write in that workflow.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to use GitLab here. And then, so yeah, here it's saying that you are using the template with 2 stages, and it's trying to see if you have bootstrapped any stage. We haven't, so it's giving us an option. So we'll go through that option. And then the first stage name, I'm just going to call it office hours test. And then, so it shows us all the profiles I have. Now, we have to be careful here because this is how we know which account your particular stage is going to use. So in here, you see test stage and prod stage, they're in different accounts. And in order to provision the resources in the right account, you need to have that profile configured so that we can use that profile. So we are going to use demo 1. I entered. It will print the account ID just to confirm, and I have notes on my desk so I can confirm. And the default region, which I showed in the beginning, that's US West 2. So I
love this that it does this because I know a guy who's bald and doesn't have thumbs who might have deployed to the wrong customer's account because he wasn't paying attention. So yeah, I think this is really, it's the same reason I use profiles. It's really critical when you work, especially as a consultant, when you work with a lot of different clients, this kind of stuff's critical.
And then,
yeah, Ouch is right.
Yep. That's totally possible. Now, there are a couple of resources which we need. One is we need one pipeline user, and then individual stages will have different roles. This user will assume those roles and invoke the action or the deploy action in each stage. Okay. So I will let the tool create one for me. And then this is asking, okay, this is the role which the user is going to assume to actually do the execution. So I'll let it create this for me as well. And
but
then
you could pass an ARN for a role if you wanted to, right?
You can pass the ARN, yeah.
Right. So I want to stop for a minute and talk about that for a minute. So when you're working with least privileges and things like that, and you want to be very specific about the roles, that's how you do it. And that's a question we get a lot. What if I want to limit? What if I want to control those? Be very specific. Now, Tarun, I will ask you, when we create the role for them, what kind of how open is it?
It's not actually very open. Like the CloudFormation execution role is restricted to only CloudFormation service principal. So only CloudFormation can assume the role and do the deployment, because this is the role with the most permissions. And we didn't want any other user or somebody to assume this role and do something. So this is limited to CloudFormation. The pipeline execution role will also have very limited permission to only allow certain actions. In this case, to allow or to tell CloudFormation, okay, use this particular role to do the deployment. And in CloudFormation, once you create and stack with a role, that CloudFormation will always assume that role. So it's not like if you are logged in as an admin, you can use your role. If you do not have permission to assume a particular role, you won't be able to do something with that.
So there's already some least privilege built in.
Yeah, there's already some least privilege built. And in case, let's say there is a situation where you cannot have admin credential of an account on your host, and you have a team who does, the team can actually bootstrap and give you these ARNs, and you can use these ARNs to basically set up the pipeline and expand the pipeline in any way you want. So that was the idea behind the bootstrap and pipeline init, both commands separately. So I'll let it create the execution role as well. And then we need a bucket for certain actions, like in case your CloudFormation template is more than 51 kilobyte and something, we'll use the bucket to upload it. And then also for the Lambda function. So I let it create the bucket, and it's asking, do you have application contain any image type? So in the hello world we created, we do not have the package type as image. It's basically just code or zip. So I'm going to say no. And it's going to show me a summary. So this is the account ID where it's going to create the resources, the stage name we entered, region, and then whatever it's going to create and what it's going to scale. I'm going to just press enter and let it. So it's also going to show me like, okay, it's going to create a pipeline user, an execution role, CloudFormation execution role, and the artifact bucket. If you provide one of the ARNs, the list will be shorter, like it will remove what you have already provided and use the provided ARN. So should we proceed with creation? I will let it create. And let's go to this account. So this is the account.
All right. Someone just asked if we had a blog around this. Yeah, we do have a blog. I just posted the one that Benjamin did. Some great stuff around this. Ben also has some videos. If you'll go to serverlessland.com, and I'll get the exact link on Serverless Land, but we have lots of videos and information around this as well.
So you see the name we entered, O-test. You can see it in the managed stack name as well. So this is where we will create the resources, and then these resources will then later be used in the pipeline config.
All right.
It takes like 5 to 6 minutes. So I guess this would be a time to probably go through questions.
Yeah. So we got a couple of questions coming in. So I'm going to jump back here. It says, I have 6 Lambdas across 4 regions. What is the best deployment method? Code deploy, code pipeline, or SAM you're showing here?
So if you have Lambdas across 4 regions, I will confirm later as well, but I'm pretty sure CloudFormation can do the deployment in 1 region only.
So, you can actually do CloudFormation stacks, sets, and they now support transformation. So you can do one deployment that deploys to multiple regions with stack sets. So that's one way of doing it. Is that what you were referring to, Tarun?
Yes. So, but there's a catch in stack sets as well. You have to deploy across all of those regions together. It won't be like a staggered deployment. So you will be like modifying the Lambda across all stacks. Yeah. So if you have use case in which you need Lambda cross region, I would actually I would actually recommend let's try to create roles across region and Lambda in 1 region, and then maybe assume the role in that region and do something with that. But okay, let's look at what happened here, and then we'll try to discuss that a bit.
All right, yeah, that's fine.
So I created the user, it displayed the credential. I'm going to obviously clean up the account after the video, but what it's
these are temporary credentials.
What it's suggesting is go and configure the credential in GitLab, because obviously when GitLab will run the pipeline, it will need the credentials. And also I'm going to say no for now, and just like I'll just quit the command and show what's happening. So first let's configure the credential before I lose them. These credentials are also saved in a secret manager. So in case if you need them later or you want to rotate and upkeep and record, you can update from the secrets manager as well. So I'll go to GitLab, settings, CICD. And then in variables, so I'm going to add 2 variables. We'll call them AWS secret, and then put the secret value in here. Now this key is important, and I'm consciously choosing the different than AWS access key ID so that I can show that. But if you want to just keep consistent with the AWS variable naming practices, then you can just use AWS access key ID. In that case, you just press enter when the question is asked. So I'll call this AWS secret. I should have called it AWS access. Okay. And then I will add and call it AWS secret. And then copy this, put it here, and add variable.
So you're purposely changing the names
Yeah.
so they're not exactly the same, and then you can tell it to use those variables.
Yes.
Okay.
And let's see what that bootstrap command did. So if you go in AWS SAM folder pipeline, so it created this pipeline config toml. And all the resources it created, it added the information here. This is the place from where it reads and detects if a stage is configured or not. So if somebody else is creating the resources, that might be one way. You can just ask for the bootstrap config, which is generated in there, and just put in your, and then the pipeline init command will detect. Or you can just come and modify this by hand as well.
One thing to note on this, so don't edit that there. If you where he is, that folder will get, that's generated by the system. So if you edit, it'll get overwritten. So
yes, yeah. And then, so let's rerun that command. Okay, so I'll ask same questions. And now it detected one stage. It says we detected one stage, but you need to, so let's go and create the second one. So for this stage, I will use the name ohprod. And then I'm going to use demo2, so the index 3. So it's showing me the account ID, which we can confirm. This is the second account, 3254. So yeah. And the region, this is showing US West 2, which is not what I planned. So I will go with US West 1, US East 1, and enter the region. And then, so you see it detected the pipeline user we created in the previous bootstrap. So it's showing the ARN here. And this is the user which we configured in GitLab as well. So it will be one user doing all the deployment. The reason we go with the one user is because it's easier to rotate credential and make mistakes. So we recommend please keep rotating the credential and update just one credential in GitLab, and it can take care of the whole pipeline. And I'll just let it create every other thing it needs. And then, yeah. So this will also take a couple of minutes.
So we'll jump back. So Code Deshaun is still asking. Yeah, I think he's asking CloudFormation updating code in existing languages. Yes, with Cloud Stacks you can. Now you create them with the Cloud Stacks. You create them with CloudFormations, but Cloud Stack sets. I'm sorry. There's Cloud Stacks and there's Cloud Stack sets. Cloud Stack sets can do multiple regions at the same time. All right, so we had another question here. In order to play with SAM pipelines, do we all need to create another AWS account or profile to simulate a prod stage?
No, you can just use one account. Like I'm going to show as well. Like I'm going to set up 2 stages in account 2, like in the demo. So you can have just one account and have different stack names, and then can have multiple stacks right in one account.
And that's okay when we're simulating, but we really, really encourage when you're doing production accounts, and I know I've broken record here, use separate accounts. I mean, the inherent security in separate accounts is worth it right there. Real quick question. Someone asked, what extension are you using that allows you to switch between accounts?
So Firefox allow creating multi-account or containerized tabs. I think that's what they call them. So you can create you can create a new container tab, and like I have a lot of accounts, so I have like a lot of flesh in there, but you can like have multiple AWS accounts open in different container tabs. It's pretty awesome, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's super helpful.
Yes.
I hadn't picked up on that till they asked the question. And I was like, oh, that is cool. So
it makes so much sense, like because you usually can like either do incognito and non-incognito and then move to a different browser, and it becomes so difficult. So yeah, this is super awesome. Okay, so now if we look at the CLI, it had provisioned 2 stages, and it's asking for like GitLab variable key. This is the key which we use to configure here. So so AWS access. So I'll enter the access here.
Okay, so it wants to default to what AWS uses as defaults, but I see that you're changing that. Okay, that's where I had the question as well.
Yeah, and what is the grid branch? Main is fine. Template YAML is fine. So yeah, so we have bootstrap stages, but the pipeline need to know about this as well. And when we bootstrap, it saved those in the config file. So it's giving us the option, okay, detect these 2 bootstrap stages. Which one do we want to use as a stage 1? So I'll enter 1 and then the name. So I will enter the name as test. Okay, this is fine. And then it's it have read all the values and configured your pipeline. Now it's asking for the stage 2. So I'll do the same and then do open. And then that's it. It created 2 files. One is GitLab CI YAML, and then one is Assume role. Let's quickly go through those files before I push them in. So this is how we feed credential to the pipeline. And then all the other variables like the stack name and the production stack name, these are all declared at the top. And if you go at in the pipeline configuration, so here's the feature I was talking about. So you can have like a feature branch. You can modify based on what naming convention you follow, but as long as it starts with a feature in our pipeline, it will create a separate branch in the pipeline. I'm not using that,
Cool.
but yeah, it does create that. And then there's a build and package stage. So what build and package stage do is, in this stage, it will build your project and package it for every separate stage. And the reason we do it here all at once, so that whenever you deploy, you have exactly same bundle which gets deployed across. Like in case if you forgot to pin a version of a dependency, we don't want it to change between test and prod. So we build once, package for every stage, and then upload it, and then it goes ahead and do the deployment. And then after that, this is just a stage. We simply assume a role and then trigger a SAM deployment with the credentials we get from that assume role. And then same with the prod. Now let's quickly look at the assume role file. So the pipeline execution role which we created, all this do is it uses the current credential which we configured, and then assume a role using STS and make those as the default credentials so that the deployment can happen for that particular stage. This is fairly flexible. Like I will also try to show if everything works. I'll also try to show how to expand this, and then we'll see. Okay, so git commit, add pipeline config, push. Okay, let's see how it looks like. Okay, so it detected my push. You see this build stage, and then testing, and then prod.
That's so cool.
This will take some time. So yeah,
that's all right. A couple other things we had Firefox for the win. People are loving the Firefox thing. FYI.
Yes, I love Firefox.
Okay, I think we've answered all the questions. So yeah, if we didn't answer your question to your satisfaction, hit us again. If you need clarification, hopefully we answered them. And then while this is going, this is building out. And then, now, what are the other? So which we saw them in there real quick, but which are the partners that we work with this?
What do you mean?
So we do GitLab, obviously. Who else do we work with on this?
We are starting with GitLab, GitHub. Actually, sure.
Okay.
Don't have to guess. Okay, so we are starting with Jenkins, GitLab, GitHub, and AWS Code Pipeline.
Okay.
And if you see that there is this repository URL printed here, if I simply go to this URL, like this is where we have kept our templates. There is a PR out to fix this my project, but this is where we have kept our templates. You can actually clone the repository and modify our template based on your requirement. That's totally fine.
And then just use that as a custom, right?
Yes, or you can also contribute to it, and we are more than happy to help you through the PR process and get more templates in. So, yep. Let's go back to pipeline, see if it's still going or it failed. Okay, so it's still building. So
all right. So I'm going to back up here. So we have this question, and it'd be interesting to hear you kind of talk through this. So as I'm late in joining, I'm sorry if this has been asked. How do the testing stages work for SAM pipelines?
I see. So I think that what the question is asking and what the testing stage we are seeing here is slightly different. But just to clarify, do you mean how is the testing stage testing the stack, or what exactly is the testing stage? Just to clarify.
So while they're clarifying, I'll just go ahead and throw it at you. So I saw the build or the build commands or the setup. How would I run testing in the pipeline? Let's talk code testing. How would I run a integration test, unit test, that kind of thing in the pipeline?
So today, the only way we currently support to run integration test is to run from the CICD platform itself.
Okay.
So let's see if.
But you can run SAM commands to do it, right?
True. Let's see if we have added integ. So here, basically, there is a commented section for integration tests. You can uncomment this, and then you can add whatever command you have, which will actually do the integration test. Now, I know that this is not an ideal answer because just saying what command you have for running the integration test is very tricky. But I can try to give you an example. Let's say you have like an API-based Lambda function. So it's a very simple use case, API gateway, Lambda, and Dynamo. You can write your tests in basically the tests folder somewhere in here. So let's say you create like a test folder here and write the code in there. And then you can use npm to run those tests.
Right.
You obviously have to figure out how to pipe the endpoint from the CloudFormation output to there. So it's not very elegant. One of the solutions we have in our SAM init templates. So app templates. I think we did add it in Node, but let's see. Apparently we didn't. Test unit. So this is, no, we didn't do it here. I remembered we added it somewhere. I'll find and let you know later. But one approach we can recommend is you can query the CloudFormation stack because you need to know the stack name beforehand. So you can put that stack name in the integration test. You can query the stack, get the output, and then get the URL from there. And then you can hit the URL, and you need to delegate that permission to the CI/CD to query Dynamo and validate the state. So that's how you will run the integration test. And then in order to run it during the deployment, you can uncomment the integration test section here and add your script, which will run that. It's, that's the best we can do today. Hope the situation improves.
Yep.
And now to the second part, how is testing in this pipeline work? So that's basically, we have like a testing stack where you can actually test. Basically, this gives you an opportunity to run the integration test and fail the deployment if the test fails. Or I think we also added manual approval here somewhere. Yeah, so you can uncomment this, and then it will stop at the testing stage so that you can go and verify and then click and then approve. I would prefer the integration test failure than the manual approval, but like different companies and different teams have different policies, so that's totally fair.
So we actually had a question. I was trying to find it, but they basically asked, "Is there?" Here it is. It was Canester said, "Hello, is there a manual approval step?" There you go. I know code build offers that, or code pipeline offers that, and then you're saying GitLab does as well.
Yes, okay. For the GitHub actions, it was slightly tricky. I don't think it's in the template. They have a wiki which you have to follow to add the manual step. But apart from that, all three have like built in the template.
Okay. All righty. All right. So we got quite a conversation on cold starts and size of Lambda functions going on, and in time-wise, I may come back around to that, but there's some good information. Alpha Codes is throwing out some good information. So, and then the testing. All right, so we're up and running here. I'll let you continue there.
Yeah.
Looks like, okay.
So if I simply go to testing stack, it did set up the stack. And if I go to the outputs, this is the API. So if I'll hit the API, a hello world from there. It's still deploying to the prod one. Where did it go? Yeah, it's still deploying to the prod stage. Okay. So let's wait for it.
Okay. Now, talk about, we did have another question here. Is it possible to pull artifacts from a repo for subsequent stages? Now, it'd be interesting to see what you're asking about. Are we talking artifacts? I would push back on that, and here's why. If we're saying artifacts as in variables that change from stage to stage, that's one thing. But if we're talking artifacts that actually change the code base, make the application look different, then you're kind of losing the idea of this same thing being tested all the way through. So I would not say, when we talk about applications and this idea of one of the reasons we automate pipelines and we go from stage to stage is to have identical stages, and serverless really makes that easy. You don't have to have a smaller server for test or serverless function for test and then the big one for production. They're the same size all the way through. Your infrastructure can be identical. Now, what about, and I'll let Tarun, if you want to, what about variables, parameters from stage to stage? How do we do that?
Variable parameters from as in different stage have different contexts, sort of like where you configure the environment variable in a stage?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know off top of my head. I'm pretty sure that GitHub Actions and GitLab do support environment variable per stage. Yep. We haven't added that in our template, but that's something we can see how to add that. But I'm pretty sure that what we are doing is we are setting all the environments variable and referring the different one in different stages. So for example, for testing, I'm using US West 2, and for prod, I'm using US East 1. And if you simply look at where these variables are used, so testing is used in the feature and the test stage, and then the production one is used in the production stage. So that's one way you can define all the variables beforehand and refer the different one in different stages.
So another way in serverless, and this really has nothing to do with the pipeline as much as launching into the environments, things like that, because the pipeline is deploying this using CloudFormation. Right. So at the end of the day, your application is getting deployed into an account using CloudFormation, using SAMs actually specifically. So SAM is transforming to CloudFormation. One of the cool things about SAM is you have multiple ways in the template to use parameters. So if I have a whole set of parameters that are for a specific environment, let's say production, and I've isolated that production in its own account, then I can use Secrets Manager, and I can use the same variable name, everything, and it will be contextual to the account that it's in. So whatever values I put in my dev account are what the dev environment will use. Whatever values I put in the stage account, and so on and so forth. That's usually a best practice that we suggest. You can do environment variables on the account if they're not encrypted, if there's something and that's something you can pass during the deployment as well. But we really encourage Secrets Manager. You can grab those values at deployment, meaning when I deploy, it sets all those values for you, or and do that right from the SAM template. And I'll post. I have a link where I talk about doing that. Or you can grab those from within your code if you only need to grab it once in a while, or you can use an extensions to do that. So there's all kinds of ways to do that.
And there is a benefit of using that in the code. So if you define the environment variable in your template here, like the SAM function supported, Lambda as well supported, the benefit of that is that you don't have to rely on CICD pipelines. So for development flow, when somebody is deploying a stack, like running SAM deploy against their dev account, they will still have those environment variables. So you don't have to completely rely on the CI/CD platform, so that they don't always have to set up a pipeline. They can just run SAM deploy, override some variables, and get the stack going. So that's also one benefit of using the template.
Yep. And I just posted a link where I talk about the different ways of using secrets in SAM in a previous series I did called Sessions with SAM. So.
Okay. Yes. So let's look at the stack. So, well, all three passed. If I go to my prod account, and the region was US East 1, so I'm going.
Tarun, it worked. Good job. Worked. Well, let's see it first. Let's see it here first before we get too excited.
Yes. So it created OS prod, and I go here, outputs, and here is the API, and then API works. So it does work. Awesome.
Yep.
Now the hardest part. This is something which we haven't covered in the blog, so that's why I wanted to show here as well. But this is where things can go clearly wrong. Now,
good precursor. That was the caveat in case he doesn't get it working. This is where it could go wrong.
Yes. So we certainly expect and hope that our customers will expand the pipeline as well. Now, the situation might be that we want to deploy in India, so AP South 1, Bombay region. So first, we need to bootstrap the account for that region. So in order to do that, I will run SAM pipeline bootstrap command.
And just to give you a heads up, Tarun, we're at about 3 to 4 minutes left.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll call this.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Sorry about that.
I'll call this OS prod 2. Sure, and I will choose the demo 2 account, and then AP South 1, and then pipeline. So it detected the same user, and then pipeline execution role, and it will create all of this. So this is how we will bootstrap the account, but the pipeline in it, given that it only supported 2 stages, we have to take those values and manually update the GitLab. So that's the tricky part.
Okay.
But once it's created, we will get back to it. So if we cannot finish in 4 minutes, maybe I'll just make the repo public for some time.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, if you could do that, and then we'll tweet about it. If you'll shoot me if you'll tweet, I'll retweet it, and we'll get it out to the audience here. So while we're doing that, I do want to tell you. So Albert Codes is pulling out the buzzwords. Yeah, I think we do consider CICD as undifferentiated heavy lifting. It's because it doesn't differentiate you between your competitor on how you deploy, right? So it really is. How can we safely deploy our applications and run tests? And then there's a few things that make a really good CI/CD pipeline: the ability to test, and that it's automated, and the ability to roll back. Right, so that's critical. If something's going wrong, we want to be able to roll back, and that's where we test and different things like that. So, all righty.
So I saw a question, what's the difference between SAM pipeline and CDK pipeline? So fundamentally, CDK pipeline is a construct over code pipeline. They might start, like last time I checked, that was a couple of months ago. And at that time, they were only supporting code pipeline. So their construct does create a similar pipeline. Yep. And they also follow the same same principle of least responsibility, or like least privilege. And then they create code pipeline for you. What we tried to do slightly different is we don't have constructs. We basically create the pipeline using those same principles and then let you handle the template. But both sort of try to solve the same problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So this actually created the config, the bootstrap, the extra stage. So let's see. Oops. And then I'll try to edit .aws SAM pipeline config. I'll go and slightly reduce the font so that I have a little bit more things I can see around. Okay. So it created the OS prod 2 stage. I have to basically copy the values from here. So first, I will just duplicate all these variables. Oops.
That's some impressive Vim work, I'm not going to lie.
So prod artifacts bucket. So I'm going to just add a simple 2 here. Oops. And then I'll call this tag OS prod 2. I know that this is AP South 1. So South 1. And then pipeline execution role. So okay, so I updated the execution role. And then no, I did not. Yeah, I messed it up. See, you problems of using.
That's all right. That's all right. No problem. I'm looking to see. So we had a question here. Can we get the code at GitHub location, please? So what we can do, Tarun, if you're up for it, is once you get this working, can we push it to a repo?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. We'll push it to a repo, and then you if you'll tweet it, I'll tweet it. So if you don't follow me, EDJ Geek at Twitter. Or at Twitter, how you doing? At EDG Geek on Twitter, please do, and you'll get information. I talk about service all the time. I talk about kids. I talk about pizza. To good with the bad, you have to, it's up to you whether you want to stay or not. But I will tweet this out once he gets this working. With that, I will keep going. I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap things up. But if we get it right at the end, let's show them. So I'm going to bring in my screen here. Next week, we're going to be talking about the patterns collection. I really encourage you to look at it. Yes, that's me. Add this guy on Twitter, exactly. I know there was a lot of questions that happened. I did not get to all of them. Hit me on Twitter, and I will get. We'll take that. So, and we'll see if this is actually going to work here. Now, let me tell you also. Again, like I said, Serverless Office Hours is every week at 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to know more about it, we have serviceland.com/office hours or under events. It'll show you the schedule coming up. We have lots of good things. We get our serverless heroes involved. We get our project managers involved. You get to see a lot of people behind the scenes. So I encourage you to check it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take just a few more minutes to room. We're going to see if you get it. I'm going to bring your screen back up. You ready?
Yeah.
All righty. Here we go.
Basically,
Hey. I am going to say one thing. Sorry. Yes, thank you, Dan MBA. Yes, tomorrow, if you want to see, I'm going to be joining Rick Houlihan on DynamoDB Office Hours, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll be doing, we'll be doing single table design behind AppSync. Now, Rick likes to show it all, but sometimes he does it in the console. So I'm going to teach Rick how to do it in SAM. So we're going to have a really good time with that. I encourage you to come. It'll probably be a lot of me saying, Rick, stop talking so fast, or hey, dumb it down for me because I don't know what you're saying. So definitely worth watching. Same AWS or twitch.tv/AWS. So it'll be a lot of fun. So, all right, Tarun, go ahead. I apologize. You got it.
So while it's deploying, I'll try to just show what I did. Basically, so you see that it generated an OHprod2 config, and I simply copied the values from there to a set of environment variables in my template, added an extra stage in the list of stages, and then simply copied, pasted everything prod had. So I created an assume role for the new stage and the new region, and basically just duplicated everything. And then changed wherever I see prod underscore to prod2 underscore. And what is happening is here in build and package, it will package for the new stage and create a template file package prod2 YAML. And then this file will actually be deployed later in the stage. So you can see here that template package prod2 YAML. If I configured everything, the deployment will actually work.
Right on.
And so we certainly can.
There they both are. So okay, I see. There's the next build, I guess.
No, there should be an extra stage, so I clearly missed something.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we got to call it. I thank you so much, Tarun. This was awesome. I think we learned a ton. I think you just found it. Did you just find it?
Yeah. I need to change the stage name. This is how
it is. All right. So I'm gonna do the wrap ups, but let's push this because I want to see if it does it.
It will definitely create the extra stage, but to probably I can cancel this one.
Yeah. Stop the pipeline. There it is. No, I'm sorry.
No,
it's not there. I got all excited. False excitement. That's all right.
I'll fix it and update later.
Just when we figure it out, shoot me and I will tweet about it. Thanks again for joining us on Serverless Office Hours. Join us tomorrow, DynamoDB Office Hours, 9 a.m. Rick Houlihan's always a lot of fun. We like to have a good time. So thank you so much. Y'all have a good day. Tarun, I want to say thank you to you. Awesome presentation. So.
Oh, you see, we have the extra stage now.
There it is. We got it. Boom. All right.
Yeah.
Nice job, sir. All right. We'll see y'all later.
Yep. Thank you.